Welcome to part 2 of the Coop expansion series. Hopefully we'll get it wrapped up today. The weather's been hindering me a little bit. Quite a bit of rain the last couple of days. Been working inside to get it done, and chickens are anxious to get out here. They're almost full-size chickens now. Who would have known just a couple months ago they're little tweety fluffy things. But yeah, they want to come out. I want them out. I'm starting to stink in the garage, and maybe today will be the day we get them outside. So stand by. I'll catch you up on what I've been doing on the Coop expansion, and we'll move forward, hopefully wrap it up today. Thanks. Okay, what we're up to this afternoon is trying to get a back door put together for the rear of the coop. I don't have any plywood big enough for this piece right here. All the scraps I have are just too small. So I put the 24-inch height nailer across there. I'm going to build a door in there, and the top is going to be fixed. You won't be able to move it at all. So that's part of the project for today. I put the rest of the blocking up underneath, up in here. It's just scraps again. It's all going to be painted, second coat. Do a little bit of work around the door side. I cut that angular piece of 2x4 there. Put a nailer up on the top, and that whole thing's got to be painted. Looks a little rough right now, but caulk makes a good carpenter, I've learned. I also had to put 2x3s up underneath to block that off, like I said, on the other side also. Keeps critters from going up and over. And the roof is done. You can see the one mistake I made with this chicken coop, chicken run, whatever you want to call it, is I made it right near a 100-foot oak tree. So that was just an acorn hitting. Those poor chickens must be neurotic after all the acorns that have come off of here. It's time for a little bit more unconventional framing, pretty suburbanite style. What we need here is a door. Similar to this door, it's going to allow me access to the miniature coop, if you want to call it that, where the little bird's going to have a roost, and there's going to be a nest box in there for them in case they can't integrate. I'm just counting for the worst as I go along. So what I've done is I framed this up with 2x3s. Well, this is actually the corner, but up here is 2x3s. Like I said before, using scraps of this wood, and it's kind of difficult. I'm putting seams all over the places, which is not the way you're supposed to do it, but it's the way we're going to do it here. This stuff's too expensive to go out and buy it. So what I have here is the cutout from this piece here. This is what we're going to use for our door. This is going to be the pattern for the door, and we're going to make it similar to this here. It's going to have a border of 2x3s, and it's going to fit in here. There's going to be hinges. I haven't decided which side to hinge it on. Probably this side. I'll probably hinge it so the door opens this way. Subject to change, I really don't know. We'll see as time goes on. This is the scrap for that. I just cut around so there's a small kerf for the saw blade, which is not enough to allow it easy opening and closing. So I'm probably going to widen that out a bit, and I'm going to go from there. So let's go up to the shop and do this. Needs a miter saw. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with 2, the same size, and then throw it all back up on there and see how it looks. Get it squared up, cut another 2. Okay, now what I did was I marked what I want for my reveal on both sides. Kind of laid it on here as a mock-up, and got a rough measurement, 24 inches. Yep, 24 inches overall. What I'll do is I'll cut those pieces, prepare to glue and nail this together, and we'll move forward. A couple staples will hold it together as we go around. What we're going to end up doing is stapling it onto the top with glue again. Okay, now that we have our basic frame stapled together, we're just going to go along in here and use what they call a liberal application of glue. By liberal, I mean a lot. Try to get a basic idea where we're going here. Locate it. Yep. Make sure we're not going through. Nope. There we go, there's our door. I figured when I was here with the miter saw going and the table up here, I'd make the door, the main door for the coop at the same time. No use lugging this table back and forth. I forgot just about how heavy it is. So we're going to make the door now. And when I got some measurements, remember the old saying, measure twice and cut once, especially when it comes to this 5/4 pine. This is not cheap. We don't want to make any mistakes on this. Here's what I'm doing to make these corners. Getting the approximate layout. Come in here and clamp them down. One drill bit that's big enough so that the head of this gets sunk in. We're going to sink it into around here, wherever I have the tape that marks where the head's going to go to. That's going to allow this to go all the way in, grab the wood underneath, and also be countersunk. After I do that, I'll go back and I'll drill a pilot hole for this. What we're trying to do is not crack this pine. And there. Right around there. The second one I don't have to sink all the way up to the tape because it's going to be a lot more shallow. Use this, drill a pilot hole as deep as we can. Take this off. Glue it up. Be real careful sinking this in. You get a little bit of resistance, just twist the whole drill. Just enough so you see your glue coming out the joint. So here's the door. The center brace done. Miter on the corners, 45s. Deck screws hold it together in the corners. A little bit short, I know, but it's better than the door that I had planned at first, which was no door. Alright, while we're waiting for the other door to dry, come over here and work on this a little bit. Here's the other door that we made. As you can see, we have a little bit of wiggle room. Hardest part is to line up the lines in the plywood so it looks even top to bottom. Well, this is as far as we got today. Yeah, it looks a little dark on video and there's some major black clouds coming. We got a door that opens. I decided to make it go this way. It was just easier to do. When I get back out here again after the rainstorm, I'll get a chance to put some latches on here so I can latch it up. I wrapped up this back door project today also. Got the latch bolts in. She opens up. We're good to go on this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm setting this door into our frame. The easiest way I found to do this is just put wedges in all the way around, kind of like how you would set a window. But the advantage of doing it this way with a door is I always work by myself. There's nobody holding stuff for me. And when you do it this way, not only can you adjust it, but the tension of the wedges holds the door in so you can mark your hinges. Our door project is pretty much completed for this stage of it anyway. It needs to be painted again. Hardware cloth has to be put on. I'd really like to find a couple more of those spring hinges to put on there. I'm preparing to put the hardware cloth on the door today, the main door into the coop. Here's some of the players. Half inch by half inch hardware cloth. Pine stripping is going to hold the hardware cloth on this side. On the other side, it's got to be full width. And you'll see when we go out to the coop why. Tin snips, stapler. That's all we're going to need for right now. These, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut them to size today after I get the hardware cloth stapled on. And then we're going to have to screw them on after they're dry. So it's just an easy process of going around stapling this. Trying to keep it tight when you do it. This is just a preliminary holding down process, if you want to call it that. Like I said, when I put the strips of wood on top, that's what's really going to hold it. Because they go in with deck screws and they hold it all together. But for the most part, we have this painted. We're going to put it together in a second. Getting ready to put the frame on around the screen door, or the hardware cloth door, if you want to call it that. We're going to use deck screws. You'll see they have a flat head profile, which means the bottom is on a bevel. So what we have to do is to put that same bevel in the wood, or else this screw is going to split that wood, especially the small pieces. So what we're going to do is we're going to put countersinks in each one of the pilot holes that we drill for these screws. First we're going to drill a hole. I'll just do 2 for now, the purpose of explanation. And we're going to use our countersink. Careful with that because it goes really quick in this soft wood. We're going to use our impact to put it in. I'm fortunate to have 3 tools so I don't have to keep changing the bits. That's the way it goes. The door is done. 2 latches, a hasp, and a handle. That one hinge is that spring hinge is pretty stiff, I must say. Woo. Brings it in. Barrel bolts, hasp. But yeah, that's what it's going to look like. This is not the easiest stuff to work with. It's totally misshaped here in this corner. As you can see, I'll lay it flat. And no matter what you do, you're going to get this wave there. I'm going to try to make this middle straight. Got to keep working with it. Just got to try to keep smoothing it, going back and forth. But I just got to work on it. It'll take some time, and I'll get it right. We're going to work on a small piece here near the edge. Hopefully we'll get this on. Here we go. That's pretty much it for here. We're entering the last phase of the construction of the coop extension today. These are batten strips, or strips I use to hold the hardware cloth onto the coop. All I'm doing is going down, drilling holes in them, countersinking, similar to what we did right near the door on the other side. painting them, cutting the length, putting them up. It's easy. It's kind of rewarding after doing that hardware cloth, which was a little bit stressful. So let's get to this. Cut this one a little tight. Inch and 5/8 screws. Painted deck screws. They work well. Kind of expensive, but putting them in, might as well spend a little bit more money to get the right stuff. I'll have to come back and do it again next year. Countersink just a wee bit. We're going to come back and hit them with just a little bit more paint. Window is installed. It's just 4 nails holding it in now. What we're going to do is 2x stock. Going to be placed around here for a sort of a window framing kind of thing, like a finished framing. This is going to be our trim on our window, and also it's going to give us enough offset on the front here to put some hardware cloth across this. That way this whole thing is protected. So we're going to go all the way around like this. Top's going to go around, and then the side. And then the hardware cloth will go on top. These will be screwed right through. That's why I didn't put a lot of nails in here, because I'm going to use my deck screws to hold these on, and that's going to go all the way through the plastic and into the framing. So it's going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Okay, the deluxe window is finished. Hardware cloth is on. 3/4 inch wood is screwed in all the way around to hold the hardware cloth. Plus the staples are underneath, but they're only temporary for putting it on to begin with. I suspect it would lend a little bit more strength to it, but I like to put the screws in. I got to come back and clean up some of the paint. That's finished. Good. Okay, let's go over a couple of details I wrapped up yesterday. Ramp is done. The small pieces of the 1x pressure treated, screwed on. A skateboard grip tape. The grip tape was just cutoffs that I had laying around from when I used this for my garden tractor footrests. So I had a whole bunch of it. Good morning, chickens. I put an eye hook on the chicken door here so I can lock it in the up position to keep the door open. There's also a barrel bolt in the bottom where I could lock it in the down position to keep them in the little coop itself. I got it both ways. Of course, the screening in the window is all done. Door all done. And the chickens are very talkative today. Rear door all done, installed. Locks on, carabiner. Barrel bolt. I put one at the top, one at the bottom. I've put a little roost bar in there. I know it's not much, but it moves up as they get bigger. Just a couple shelf brackets with a piece of pine with radius edges across it. Somebody was kind enough to throw a pool wall out in my woods. So I took that, I cut a piece of it. I'm going to put it on the bottom. It's kind of like a poop board, so it goes in and out. You can see there's the back of it. So I'll just be able to pull that out, scrape it off back in the mulch pile. I still haven't quite figured out how I'm going to close up that screening to give them more insulation in the winter. I'm not going to close the whole thing. I'll probably always leave the top part open, but at least the bottom, keep the draft out. So yeah, that's a wrap. screening on the bottom. It had some rain the other day. You can see where it drips. I have to put gutters on this so I don't get more water intrusion. Oh, somebody came to visit us right on the other side there. Good morning. Hello. Very curious creatures. Of course, the roof is done. I checked it in the rain a couple times. We had an inch of rain the other day. Not a drop inside. They were good. Next step is to apply chickens. Here we are, the new chickens are in there. We have one chicken on one side of the fence. I'm not too happy. We have two others on the other side of the fence, and they are not very happy either. They're just gonna have to get over it. Gonna have a protest in here. Yeah. It's okay. So successful. They're in there. They're secure. We'll figure it out. Their water and their food is in there. And they're just gonna have to go get it. Oh, I know. I know. You're just gonna have to get used to it. So the process of getting used to each other begins. Here's our last little addition to the coop. A door that leads from one side to the next. Handle, lock, and a little eye hook that keeps it up. There it is, locked up. I haven't cut the fence wire out between the two runs yet. So when I determine that it might be a better time, I'll just open that up and let them go back and forth. I have to grind those deck screws off there a little bit too. This project is officially done now. That's going to be it for the build series on the coop expansion. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day.